another amazing edition of Worthy by Design. Brought to you by Advent Cable Network Nigeria, ACNNTV, and I am Iberichins. On this show, we'll focus on the journey from girlhood to womanhood and everything in between. Today, we shall be taking a look at another real-life victory. Pressed, not crushed. And our focus is on widowhood. You don't want to miss this. Now, one of the challenges that women have to grapple with is the loss of a husband. We never pray for bad things to befall anyone, but just life just happens. And the woman's life gets a reset. Such losses are very devastating, and no experience ever prepares anyone for this critical transition. Everyone faced with this handles it differently, but the experience of those who have traveled that road may sure ease some of your pain or help you handle yours better. Are you wondering, will I ever find healing? Can my little money support my children? Or should I opt for therapy? Think no further. Our special guest will attend to all your concerns. We have in the studio Mrs. Rhoda Okwara. She is a nurse, or should I say retired?
Retired,
yes,
yeah.
She's a retired nurse, but once a nurse, always a nurse. A full-time businesswoman. She's the CEO of Kim Opera Bakery and Confectionaries, and she's a counselor. So you're sure that all she's going to be saying today will touch your particular situation. So, Ma, we will go into the discussion. I am happy you could make out time to come.
Thank you.
Let us talk about your journey. Nurse turned businesswoman. How do we connect all of this?
It's not a funny thing, because even prior to widowhood, I tried my hand on so many things.
Okay.
You know, as a young married lady, when you discover that your income, when I say your income, that's the family income, could not meet with certain basic things, you have no alternative than to try out other things. In my own instance, when I got married, I was still working in Port Harcourt. My husband was in Lagos. And from our marriage, it took me almost like 3 to 4 years to join him. And it was not funny. At a point, for me to be able to make that movement, I had to kind of apply for leave of absence without pay. Because then my mentors were like, you're too young to stay away from marriage. You can't contrive a marriage and live away from the man. So I took that advice and threw in the towel. And I did apply for leave of absence without pay. First for 1 year. I had to extend it to another 6 months because the job was not forthcoming. And at the end of that 18 months, playfully, I just told my husband, I said, I've tried. I equally have my own responsibilities. My parents are there, and my siblings are there, who I should support. And the only way is to just go back to my job. I can't stay without earning. And while doing that, while staying at home, I started doing some little businesses. I was making chin-chin, selling at what price? You won't believe it, 10 naira, 20
just
naira.
To be able to
My
get
husband
something.
felt really insulted. But I had to persevere. I did it. So from doing all those petty things, I started baking bread for, family consumption.
And today?
And today.
It was easy to make the transition.
The transition was easy, yeah.
To becoming
In
a
fact,
business
while
woman?
trying, before I could try that, as I was retiring, a cousin of his, just called me, said, my dear, it's easy for you to go onto something you can control and manage, than veering into something that is very different from it. And somebody will need to control it, that you have challenges. So the best bet was to just go into the familiar terrain, which all of us know you for.
And you enjoy it?
I do it with passion.
Good. Now, that's the background.
Yes.
Let's go.
The transition from
that's the transition
to being a
we'll still
baker.
come back to some aspects of that.
Yeah.
Pressed, not crushed. I'm sure you have a story. Which is yours?
Yeah. My story started in 2004, August. From nowhere, you just discovered that it just happened.
You were all alone.
I was all alone. In fact, I went home for the usual thing the Igbo women know, August meeting. We just finished the August meeting and went to the king of our community to give our report after the meeting. And before I knew it, that was it. My husband was no more.
No notice?
Nothing. It came like a flash. Nothing. Up to tomorrow, I don't have any story to tell my children that this is exactly what happened to their father. Some sort, assassination, murder, whatever. He was on national assignment, and that was it. Till today, I have nobody to tell me exactly what happened. I was only called back to Abuja, and that was it till today.
So when all of this happened,
I was in the dark. I was in the dark. I was pushed to the extreme. I was like, my world came to a halt.
I can imagine.
Everything around me collapsed. He was at the peak of his service to the ministry and to the nation, and that was it. I didn't even know where to start because, like, he did a tropical medicine, University of London, so, and now into public health, and he was heading a section. Everything just collapsed at my feet.
Now, you had just lost a husband.
Yeah.
How did you cope with the loneliness?
The loneliness is something else. In fact, the confusion was the worst of that dilemma of not knowing
how it happened.
It's not as if, okay, your better half just called you to say, my dear, look at what is happening. I'm at so and so place. And this, nothing.
So you were so lonely?
Nothing, not a word, not a feeling, not...
Because you didn't know how to feel.
I didn't know how to feel, but the worst that happened was that I blanked out, even mentally.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the word. My brain was like wiped off. And I could hardly remember anything.
That was a huge emotional distress.
Yes, it's a huge one. And I wouldn't know how many that will have to go through that. It was so bad that even up to today, I still mix my children's name. Yeah. The two female that I have, if I want to call this person's name, I call the other one. And they kept coming, and I don't want to remind them that it's as a result of this. I lived with it as a secret.
Who did you turn to at that point?
The fact was that I have been a fervent child of God. I believed in God through everything that happened in my life and how I went about it. So it was easy for me to just wrap around God.
So it just
everything.
drove you, the loss just drove you into his arms.
Yes, I just went. And before I did that, I made a prayer. I just told him, I say, Daddy, do not allow me to go through shame in taking care of these children. Anything you know that will make me start going to beg for help, please take it away from me.
And did he answer?
He answered.
Good.
He answered. That is what I want people in my position to pick up. It's a fact I'm telling, and it's with testimonies.
He answered.
He answered. I got to a point where it was difficult for me to even pay my children's school fees. And the first and foremost, they maintained the school they were as at the time their father passed on until they graduated. That's a big testimony.
True.
I didn't have the money. But how it happened, I cannot tell.
There was a God you were holding on to.
Yes. You know, when I got to that breaking point, I felt I couldn't continue with the school fees. I went to the principal. And I told her, I want to withdraw my children. He said, what? And I told her, I said, no, you can't do that. You cannot do that. I said, I have come officially to tell you that I no longer can cope with the finances and what it involved. And she said, okay, I should hold on. I waited. That's the testimony I'm giving you now. She had to call the chairman of the PTA of the school. Prior to that time, there was a fund that was set aside during PTA meeting. My husband attended that PTA meeting and made a suggestion to the school that they should set a fund. They called it a particular name. In event a child loses the parent, and if the parents happen to be the financier of the education, that child should not suffer. Can you be that? And by a year plus later, he was the one that was the
one that was benefiting from it.
Yeah.
Now, you know, some people have a way of blaming God. God, why me? You know, your husband just dies suddenly, like your story.
Yes.
Your husband just dies suddenly in an unexplainable, circumstance.
Yeah.
It's easy to blame God. Did you get to that point?
Going by faith. What I asked from him is to tell me or show me why that thing happened. That was what I did. I said he should tell me why that happened. Because nothing happened without a reason. I told him, I said, he should lead me to know why that happened. I didn't do why me, because who is it? And I said, who should it be? I can't pray it. For me, I normally say I don't have enemy. If you have me as an enemy, it's unfortunate. But I cannot point and say this person in turn. I may be uncomfortable with your attitude to me or whatever you've done. But to call you enemy, I have no right to do that. Because if he tells us that vengeance is for him, why should I?
So why me is not a question that should come
at
up.
all.
Just wrap yourself around
Wrap yourself around him.
And when you did that, he strengthened you through the situation?
He did. He did, to the point that I know that many friends, I'm sorry I have to say this, some of my good friends, good family friends, approach me on how I get over my sensual response or whatever. I say it was not there because God removed it.
Okay, like you're not mourning your husband enough.
No, not mourning him enough. That as a female, this thing happened when I was still young, at 40-something. Obviously, you should have a feeling for an opposite person.
Okay, let me just let that hang then.
Yes.
Now, how did you manage your emotional and physical demands of, adjusting to this new life of being a single mother in quotes? Because
yes,
single motherhood.
Yeah.
How did you manage all of this?
It was God.
I know you had mentioned the fact that, at a point you had to withdraw.
Yes.
You had told me that off camera.
Yes.
So Tell us a bit about how you pulled through this.
Okay, I had to look at myself. And I said, at that time, I was a level 12 officer waiting for my promotion to level 14. And I just equated myself to the opposite person. If I'm a man and I'm at that level, won't I be able to take care of my family? That was one question. Number two was the status symbol. Okay? This is you. You are used to this type of lifestyle. And you have to.
You had to adjust.
You have to adjust. It was a wilderness experience. And I took the bull by the horn. I withdrew. I had to forget about them so that I won't feel that pain of being disadvantaged. That's it. It was hard.
Right. We'll go on a very short break. Stages of widowhood comes right after this short break. Don't go away.
Every person who is charged with a criminal offense is entitled to defend himself in person or by a legal practitioner of his own choice.
Remember that an individual is entitled to remain silent.
Every citizen in Nigeria is entitled to maintain a private life.
You are approaching a military checkpoint or a police checkpoint without knowing that it's against or it offends them and subject you to a frog jump. That is wrong.
Welcome back to the show. We have been speaking with our sensational guest, Mrs. Rhoda Okwara. She's been sharing with us her pressed, not crushed experience as a widow. If you have missed any part of this, ensure that you run to our social media platforms at Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Worthy by Design 20. Now, before we went on the break, we had been talking about your emotional response and all of that. Now, let's talk a bit about that again. How did the support of family and friends help you push through that situation?
Okay. Luckily enough, in my own instance, I will say that I had some friends who stood with me through thick and thin.
And you held on to them?
I held on to them.
You know, because I know it's natural. It's a bit natural to want to isolate yourself from people.
Yeah. So, and what I did was that events or situations that caused me pain, I avoided them.
Okay.
For real. Then the other one, the ones that were very supportive, I worked with them carefully.
And they helped you through
and
the healing.
they helped me through the healing period. I can never forget.
So it's important that any woman who goes through what you have been through should hold on to people.
You hold on to the people
God,
that
you
God
had mentioned
first.
God first, yes. And then hold on to the people who support you.
So, genuinely. I will use the word genuinely.
Right.
Because there are people who are supportive, but they mock you.
Okay, I don't want you to go into that.
Yeah.
That's a reality, though.
Yes.
But I want to talk about women who have gone through. You had mentioned the fact that, you know, you still mix up, you know, your children's name because of the emotional trauma and everything you went through at the time of the loss. Now, how important is therapy in the healing process?
In that instance, depending on the gravity, some of the widows go through health challenges. Can be ulcer of the extreme type.
Because of the loss?
Loss, yeah.
Oh, okay.
You're not eating.
Yes.
For me, for a month, I was not able to eat. For a whole month, I was not able to eat. It was difficult eating. So some will break down and develop ulcer. Hypertension. Hypertension. Some now develop hypertension that they are just managing. Then you have diabetes, faulty eating method, you know.
I even hear some people, you know, some women
mental,
become
you
mentally
go
unstable.
Yes, very, very. You understand? You know, and that mental condition is the one that I think is the extreme.
So how do we nip this in the bud? It's, you know, it can be somebody's family member or a friend or somebody
who observe that.
So you must be observant.
You must be observant. Initially, the lady may not know that she's tilting towards any of these likes that I mentioned. Okay? Or some even have been on medication before that happened. And without that support, they just go flat. You understand? So it is important that family members identify when their own is tilting towards any of the like that I've mentioned.
We shouldn't let it get bad before we try to solve it.
We should watch out for it. So, like, I had 1 or 2 extended family members who shared their experience with me.
So that helped you?
That helped me. And these were key people in the society. And I would call it, they leaked a secret to me, and I held to it.
So will you leak that secret to us?
Okay.
I wouldn't mind. Our viewers will be happy to hear that secret. If it helped you, then you can help them.
Yeah. It has to do with, will I call it destiny helpers, or people who feel they are sympathizing with you. Meanwhile, they are there to destroy you.
Okay.
Especially the opposite partners,
okay,
who call themselves family friends. Or this.
Okay, so you should be careful of all of that kind of sympathy. Okay.
Before it drums you into something else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's just race quickly into this important area. Now, experts have identified 3 stages of widowhood.
Yeah.
They said there's the grief, there's the growth, and there's the grace.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about these 3 stages?
The grief stage is when you are in that state of hopelessness. In the state of hopelessness. You can be in that stage, but the good thing is if you can quickly
get
yourself together, then you can pull through to get to 2nd stage. Some people stagnate at that grief stage, and they want all amount of sympathy from everybody, which unfortunately may not come.
And so
that state of disappointment, they just become hopeless. Almost 100% dependent on people. Is the worst that can happen to any widow. Then the growth stage is that it's not that you forgot what happened to you. Yes. The pain is there, but you now struggle
to make something
out of yourself and for your children or your dependents. You have to struggle. And that struggling, some of us do well. They do better than even when the man was around. That's
you picking up yourself.
You're picking up yourself and knowing that nobody is doing it for you. Because I remember once somebody said to me, oh, you're waiting for who will change gas in the house for you. Because this is something done by my husband. You're waiting for who will change gas. Get up, oh. Go and buy your gas. Carry the cylinder, go and change.
So at the point of growth, you have realized that, hey, I'm all alone. I need to get this together.
I remember, you know, my sister-in-law was around. I just called her of the Blessed Memory. I said, Ngozi, her brother know that my gas don't finish. Go and buy me gas. She was looking at me and laughing. I said, it is his duty. Go and do it now for me.
Now let's go to the grace.
The grace, of course, you know, we have in the Bible teaching that God does not forget your humble beginning. Of course, once you struggle, his hand is upon you.
So it's easier when you're no longer struggling at the gray stage. But it still doesn't mean you have forgotten
at all.
So what stage are you now?
Oh, I'm at the gray stage.
I am happy to hear that.
I'm at the gray stage.
No wonder you're able to talk about it freely.
Yes, I can talk about it. If it's before we finish, I'll just crack.
You break down.
I'll break down, seriously. Now, I am in position to really talk to
other people,
other widows now, how to get over this.
As we prepare to round up,
yes.
Just tell us a bit about finances. You know, you had mentioned that, you know, you started doing this, your changing and all of that,
yes.
which looked like a joke. But, you know, all of this came to play at the time when you needed it most. Please tell us about managing finances as a woman. And then when the woman now transits into widowhood, how important is that? Well,
if you were not doing anything while the man is alive, I plead that for those of you who have their husbands around,
do something.
Please do something. Plead with them. Because most of them don't really. Some frown at it. I was working. So it was easy for me to go back to my job.
But it's more difficult for
it's more difficult for somebody who has nothing. You are 24/7 in the house and the man brings in everything. I bet you. And that is the worst situation to be
as a widow.
Then some at that point the man might be doing something because they are home, they don't no knowledge of what the man is doing. Something is there but you don't have any idea. It's another worse situation. So one, you have to be doing something before it happens, and when it happens, to recover and to forge ahead.
We have so much to talk about, but our time is fast spent. Please round up by telling us, does widowhood change the worth of a woman?
It is not meant to be. It's what the society have meant it to be.
So your worth as a widow now is intact, and every other widow out there, it is intact.
It's intact.
So you need to see it in yourself.
You see it in yourself, because as I'm sitting here talking about it, I'm sure that some of them viewers will be shocked to say, is this woman a widow? That's the truth.
So you need to see it in yourself. Forget about what the society thinks. See it in yourself. That is the concluding part of the matter. Widow, see it in yourself that your worth is intact. The fact that you have lost your husband doesn't change. Yes, it changes some things, but it doesn't change your worth. Now, managing loss is not easy, but it is possible. You need not do it alone. Stay involved with your family and trusted friends. Don't forget to add value to yourself and lend your time to worthy causes. Doing this can make a difference between your happiness and a life of extended grief. Which do you want? Now, life without your husband is definitely different, but it is not your end. Just keep holding on to God. He is your husband, and he'll make you smile again. You can see my guest is smiling. He's the best husband. He can make you smile again. See, she's smiling. Show us that smile.
That's the best husband. I tell my children, you now have the best father.
So, to our guests, I need to continue saying thank you. You have just done justice to it. And I believe, God, that this testimony will touch a lot of women out there. That is what we call it a day on today's episode of Worthy by Design. I hope you have been encouraged, widow out there. Tune in again, same time, same station next week for another interesting edition. Remember, every widow is worthy by design. And you too are worthy by design. I am Ibere Chims. Bye now.